Hello, everyone. This is the Enigma podcast for this week, and with me is Mr. Raj Java.
Hey, I'm here again. Thanks for having me.
We'll be reviewing a Hong Kong Category 3 exploitation film called The Ebola Syndrome.
Well, it's awful. What else am I supposed to say? It's very bad. It's hard to gauge the acting because they're not speaking English, so like they maybe they're all tremendous actors, although they don't look like it from their facial expressions. Um, like the answer the movie has to every question is what if the main character fucks it? What if the main character has sex with it? It's okay. That's how we'll get through. That's how we'll get through this plot point. It's fine. What did you think?
There was this point in COVID when I just kind of sat down and I saw a bunch of movies. And Hong Kong sort of has a trend of like making so there's a whole category like category 3 films, right? And these films are like only specific to Hong Kong. They don't get released in China or elsewhere. It's just like hardcore exploitation. It's like and I think I don't know if they still make these kind of movies, but then it was a big deal back in the 90s. I think this film came out in 1996. And I put no logic into this film. Like 10 minutes in, I knew there's it's one of those like zero logic kind of movies, and let's just see what happens. It's like the most obscure, it's got some of the most obscure stuff that you'll ever see in movies per se. Like in general, the kind of like graphical content of the movie that I think if they release it today, it would create a lot of controversy. But then at the same time, like just for the obscureness of this film, just for like how absurd everything is and how like extreme everything is, I just really enjoy this movie. And I recommended this film to you just for the fun of having a conversation with a secondary person. It's not one of those greatest films that's gonna go down into history like being, I guess, one of the greatest films ever. I'm not even saying it's gonna be like the best worst movie ever, because The Room is like literal, like I mean it was bad, but it was kind of boring, kind of bad. But this film had me engaged, even for the bad content.
I mean, I look at this film, and this speaks to different people's perspective. I think is I look at this film as like a R-rated pornography, and I don't say that like as a I don't say that as like what I thought of like Reanimator, where it's like, oh, this has a plot, but it's not very good. It's cut consistency of a porno, which I have said before. This one, it feels like a porno because they're doing a lot of um, BDSM or kink things or kink fantasies, including being peed on, like in the opening scene. Like I just think it's very it seems like someone's sex fantasy that they kind of put a movie around. Um, uh, and it's just not filmed very well. It's not like the camera work's not dynamic. The angles are sorry, the lighting isn't very interesting. It's very just uh basic, and it is from 1996, so I guess there's some credit due for being from 1996. But yeah, it just feels like it doesn't need to. uh I don't know. It when you told me it's like a Chinese room, it has a lot of those feel, but it's trying to be something more ambitious. The Room was a very simple story. I mean, we don't even see him go to work. He just leaves for work every day, and we don't see him there. That's how you know The Room is lower budget, even though it is not low budget per se, but low budget idea. Because we only see the world of the house mostly and the park, and that's about it. Um, this movie's trying to be ambitious. Probably had a fairly decent budget, even different locations, probably even different countries, maybe. But it's like, why did you bother? In some ways, because it's not. It's. I mean, I have the film on just so I remember parts of it at now, and yeah, that first scene ends with a fucking title card or of subtitle like, well, after killing three people, he's still on the run. It's like, what is that? What is one that's usually said at the end of a movie? But two, it's just like, well, that scene's over, and now he's still on the run. Nobody caught him. now to him being a chef or a cook.
Yeah. The actor, his name is Anthony Wong, right? He made a bunch of
Right.
like movies like these, which are like category three exploitation films. He was actually in the Rogue One movie. Can you believe it?
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I do feel like I've seen his face somewhere before.
Yeah. Well, so he's actually like I think a really popular actor in Hong Kong, and this is exploitation cinema. I don't know how familiar you are with like exploitation cinema in general, but it's just the nature of these kind of films. The owner's wife, for whatever reason, it's like she's never happy with him.
Well,
But
and that also, but that also ties into the BDSM thing, right? It's like you work for someone who abuses you. Like again, this is all like a lot of BDSM tropes. It's very interesting. I wanted to interrupt you about what you say about. It makes a lot of more sense why this film exists the way it does. When you talk about the censorship aspect of mainland China, it almost feels like a big fu to no, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean
uh,
that in like a protest way. You know, it's like, oh, you're not going to let us do this. Well, we're going to make the grossest, bloodiest, sexiest, whatever film. It's not sexy, but you know, it's we're going to do the other things and be like a protest against you. Um, you kept saying category three. Do you know what category three means? I don't.
it's basically like exploitation cinema, not your traditional cinema, which like shows like the most extreme sort of like violent kind of content that you can watch in like in movies in general, especially in Hong Kong movies. So all these category three films are like basically like all like Texas Chainsaw level, or like Saw level kind of movies, which which cannot traditionally be considered like it's just like the rating system basically. It's like the adult movies, but like the highly adult, like what's the equivalent of like the X rating in the US? You know what I mean?
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. I just got to the part where the boss pushes him like for the first time in the restaurant, and I remember now. I only say it because if the room's like main theme is "Everybody betray me," then this movie's theme is "Everybody bully me." Because that is something the main character says quite a bit and does seem to be his lot in life is just to be bullied, or at least for a while.
I think you can understand this character's psychology. Like he was somebody who was always bullied, and he's like he holds like human beings to like next to insects because the way he treats all people in the movie and the way he kind of like the kind of obscure things he does to them. It's like you kind of understand the psychology of this character.
I mean, he's a terrible person.
Yeah.
Like I get that nobody should be bullied, but he is awful. Like I don't know the thing about the way this movie is put or put together is it seems like cause and effect. You're an asshole, so you get bullied. Now it'd be different if they showed him like oh, maybe he's younger and like giving people flowers and they're like, fuck those flowers. I don't like that. I don't like you. You're ugly. And then it's like, oh, I see how he became this bad person because nobody loved him and wanted him to be around them. But he opens the film being a gross weirdo with the or like the oral slash penetration sex scene that starts the movie. It's like, okay, suck my dick. Okay, now let's fuck. Okay, suck my dick. Okay, now let's fuck. It's like, but I'm not even talking about within minutes. We're talking about seconds, like switching back and forth. Like, what is this? Like someone turning off a light switch on and on. He's just a bad person.
Yeah, I'm on to the scene where they're talking to like that to the South African owner of the butcher shop, and they get
Sure.
into like a heated conversation, an argument with him because they think he's racist. I think the next thing that happens is like they go to the African forest. Was this the
Well, the
first time you were watching something like this?
Probably not, but I couldn't remember what else I saw like this at the moment. Here's the other thing too. The acting is so over the top, such as that black guy checking out the cashier. It's almost like they're stage actors. Like they're trying to project something to the back of the stage when we can see them right in front of our TVs or whatever we watch this on. It's like over exaggerated things, so it comes off very dramatic. Again, could be a factor of being from 1996 But yeah, just a lot of stuff in this movie, and it's not very subtle. It has the subtlety of carrying a pig through the middle of a restaurant.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of scenes in the movie which show like the guy spitting into like people's food and like a famous scene in the film. It's a sex scene between the owner of the Chinese restaurant and his wife, and the man takes like a piece of meat as a substitute for a vagina and he starts masturbating.
Oh, I think it's awful. I think it's terrible. But no, I get it. That I had a basic thought when I saw that. I'm like, oh, this is like American Pie meets something bad.
Psycho.
I said Psycho, interesting one. I said season one Twin Peaks, David Lynch, but I don't want to taint David Lynch with that paintbrush. So we'll just find something else. But it has the quirky sitcom film quality that reminds me of season one, season two of Twin Peaks.
Uh-huh.
But nothing else. Just the quality.
Yeah. Oh, I would say like American Pie meets Dexter.
I haven't watched Dexter, but again, like all these films are competently shot. American Pie is also competently shot. The comparison to me almost feels like it needs to be something that was super old, so it didn't have as unique or special cinema techniques that we know of today or that we see a lot today, or just bad, which I'm having a much harder time to come across. But it does feel like a sitcom. Whoever filmed this feels like they work more in sitcoms than they do, or TV than they do in movies per se. But again, could be 1996.
There's plenty of like YouTubers talking about it.
I mean, here's the thing about YouTubers. I mean, I get why they will watch it because it's content. It
Yeah.
it has it makes us it makes itself very available to what we're doing right now per se, of like talking about it and being outraged about it and whatever. I guess I think a lot of filmmakers who would be in this position were like, well, I just wanted people to have conversations around it. It's like, no, you made a bad film, but sure, people are talking about it. But I guess a lot of people make bad films, so I guess that's too simple to say. I just don't know if this film has a message per se. It's really just kind of doing its thing. That's also why I say it feels like a porno, because it doesn't feel like someone cared about making a competent movie. They're just like, this scene seems cool. Let's go to Africa now and get the pig. Like, these things don't seem to have to happen,
Yeah.
and they just did because they wanted it to. Or maybe it was practical. It's like, oh, they need the characters to go get a pig. It's like, well, we don't have any other sets. We have this Africa set. It's like, okay, let's do that. But it's just like, I don't know. It's all very, I can't say. I can't say much more than that, I suppose.
Yeah, I am at that Africa scene where they get, there's this tiger that comes in front of him, and then I think I'm just gonna skip to the main part where he contracts the Ebola virus, and
But one moment, because I just watched him fuck the meat. And here's the thing I remember about that scene is I feel like the music, the dramaticness of that moment set up like as if that was gonna be the outbreak. It's like, oh, he's fucking meat. Now someone's gonna get sick from that. But no, that's just some random thing he does like on a Tuesday, fucking meat, and then putting it back in the fridge. But the Ebola part comes later.
yeah,
That to me gets confusing because that seems like a quintessential contamination scene. Him putting his sperm in this meat that he's likely going to serve. But I feel like that plot point kind of just goes out the window later.
but he doesn't have Ebola by that time, so he could probably not, and it doesn't
That
stand up to
doesn't
the title of the
that
movie.
doesn't make it all right. The only reason that would make it all right is if he fucks another piece of meat later. So you're like, oh, he doesn't have safe sex with the meat he fucks. I put it that way on purpose. I think it's funnier that way.
But yeah, I'm at that Africa scene now where they go to find like I think trade for like pigs, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Um, and they don't get it, so they go to source it like locally, and he runs into like an African lady who's she has Ebola, And then would you like to talk about what he does to the African lady?
Oh, I mean, he has a very polite and respectful conversation with her. He wakes her up, of
Exactly.
course,
Exactly.
and uh, and then he fucks her.
Yeah.
No, I was lying about the kidding, the discussion part. Um, Yeah, no, that's why I go back to what I said at the beginning. It's like, oh, this character just doesn't see a person or thing that he just doesn't want to fuck. Oh, are we in a jam in the story plot line? I
Yeah.
guess we'll just have the character fuck something.
Yeah.
That'll probably get us through.
Yeah.
I don't think you can release this film today. You know how like a lot of older horror films like do that boob flash, the nipple
Yeah.
flash or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's something you got away with at the time, and then you have to do it the right way now. It's kind of like if you were a filmmaker back then, you had less rules. People were watching you less. People were rate or, the rating system wasn't as robust. So, you might get away with things, or things were a little more lenient. And that feels like the area where this film exists.
Yeah.
Um, it's not even, I think the problem with this film for me too is it's not even decent. There's a lot of, like, it maybe you could say it maybe making some social commentary. Oh, these Chinese guys are racist against the blacks. The stereotyping of black people, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing in this. What the message would be in that one, but like if this was a better film, I'd be like, oh, it's a film about people coming to terms with their racism, or like slice of life of racist people or something, as they go about their day to day life. But no, it's a weird, I'm gonna fuck everything film.
Yeah. And
But I will say
mm,
it does have a slow startup because there is a plot point later that is more interesting, but it's all part of his sexual exploits, really. His sexual exploits lead to everything in this movie.
I'm thinking like, what were the filmmakers of this film thinking at that point where they're like, oh, they want to have these kind of dialogues in the movie, but then you kind of understand the psychology of the character. He's just like he's the most like the epitome of filth you can sort of have.
No, for sure. But I mean, I guess if you want to put it that way, it's almost like they made It's Always Sunny or what's Arrested Development before those shows existed. And I know it's not a show, but like the aspect of like we're gonna follow very terrible characters around in their life, and it's gonna be funny because they're terrible and how the world reacts to them. This
Yeah.
uh this feels like it's this kind of basic idea of that, but
Mm,
I don't think that was intentional. I feel like it's an accident. I feel like they stumbled upon that. I could be wrong. I maybe not giving enough credit,
yeah.
but I feel like they stumbled upon that discovery or that kind of trope rather than coming to it organically. But again, I could be wrong.
When you talk about like category three Hong Kong exploitation cinema, this is like it's just pretty much that. Like these kind of films, they just kind of they're like splatter cinema or like porn cinema or like exploitation cinema to like the most extreme version of it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if are you familiar with like exploitation cinema in general?
To some degree, I haven't watched that much at all. Like I know there's black exploitation. That's probably the one I'm most familiar with, but I haven't really watched any black exploitation films per se.
Yeah, so this
So
is
I
basically exploitation cinema, which is like when you see like Quentin Tarantino movies and the kind of extreme stuff that happens in those movies, he took his inspiration from like exploitation films, which is like showing the kind of blood and the kind of gore that you would not expect to see in like, in like traditional movies. And these films don't really get like a wide release or something like that, especially during the 80s and the 90s and the late 70s. They're really popular and they have like an audience of their own. These are the kind of films that sort of like inspired like commercial cinema. You talk about Saw and you talk about The Human Centipede or something like that. I would say that's like a contemporary main exploitation film. Or like, have you seen Cannibal Holocaust for that matter?
I haven't seen Cannibal Holocaust, but I did see Human Centipede, but I don't remember it that well.
Well, yeah, so these are all like exploitation films. So this is like part of that exploitation film genre where you'll see like things like these happening.
I'm watching the tribal I'm guessing it's a Ebola healing ritual is what it's supposed to be. But like I find myself worried that are those real chickens they're cutting the heads off of? Like, were those real frogs he was cutting? And again, that's a little liberal whatever of me. Like, oh, are they killing the animals? How sad. And it is sad. I'm not trying to do a voice like I'm making fun.
Yeah.
But you know that because that happened in American cinema too, where horses died, other animals died during the production, and that's not cool. People shouldn't have to, animals shouldn't have to suffer to make a movie, or die to make a movie for that matter. And yeah, and maybe they did do these things safely because I can't tell for sure. They do look like props, but at times, obviously, they're real chickens because they're flailing around. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't say offended per se, as like I'm bothered by like the production is at times so low that I'm like, oh man, did they do this stuff safely? Did they do this stuff ethically?
Yeah, if you think about like something like Cannibal Holocaust, which was like a film which was made in the US. At the same time, this was like it had some scenes of like human torture which were like too extreme for its time. It's also said that some of the torture that was done to like because it's like basically like an American documentary crew going to the Amazons. There's a lot of human body parts that get chopped and all those things and the filmmaker said that, oh, this was all like, it was all props and everything like that. But some of the stuff in the film, it looks too realistic for anybody to buy that. It was like the birth of exploitation films as we know it. So, when you talk about like just exploitation cinema in general, it's just like you should expect to see content like this, which is like you won't see in mainstream. So yeah, so I think in the next scene he contracts Ebola from the African lady. He becomes like a monster for whatever reason, like his dark side kind of gets invoked.
Do you think they visually represent that change, or do you think he's just still an asshole?
Yeah, I think it was just like perhaps to like just show that oh okay he has like oh so you thought this was like a bad person he was like a bad person before oh he's like transcended all those boundaries and now he's just like a living monster because you do see like this transition from he being like bad to like really bad after contracting the virus. I don't know if it's something that the virus does to him or whatnot, but then you kind of see like I mean I would assume that I mean there were some brains that went into it because when he realizes that he has the virus he purposely infects people with it like he doesn't treat people like people and he's like oh he doesn't care about who dies and whatnot. So this is like that Frankenstein's monster kind of like conversion scene where you see oh what you saw was nothing in contrast to what you're gonna see.
Yeah, I mean he was very violent in the first scene. I know he was attacked, but regardless, I mean he's always attacked. His whole life is being attacked. Um yeah, I don't know. Like I think that gives Ebola way too much power and credit for a guy that's just a bad person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I can't speak to. I'd like to see him outside of this movie because the character is grotesque. I'd like to see what the actor is like when he's not playing this character because I saw nothing redeeming about this person. I mean, he's animalistic. That's the
Yeah.
thing. He
Yeah.
kind of acts like a scared animal at all points of the movie. I mean, I appreciate the character change. His whole attitude changes. He becomes a little less of a pathetic, spineless asshole. But he's still I mean, he's still an asshole. So it's less spineless and less pathetic, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say much else per se. Like it's not like the film changed that heavily. Like his character changed, so there is some character development, but he's still a terrible, terrible person. Like every bit of his characterization is like the worst person you do not want to know.
Yeah.
And I said it as a joke earlier, but the film really does lean heavily on sex. He is going to have sex with nearly every woman that comes across in this, or try to,
And he
in
orders two
this film.
prostitutes. The first thing he goes to Hong Kong is like he gets two prostitutes to have sex with.
But yeah, I noticed that is like how the actors of different races of non-Chinese origin are used in the film, and it's often very exploitively, including one of those prostitutes that you mentioned.
Yeah,
I
with
don't think she says this. I don't think she says a single line in her whole like debut. It's hard to parse out any message between all the terrible stuff that's going on.
Yeah. What adds more to like the obscurity of this thing is like, oh, so this guy contracts the Ebola virus and he is uninfected, which is like the rare cases, like the 1% of the cases. But then he can still keep on spreading them and he's all over the place on a rampage, in Hong Kong and like, spreading the virus, which is like, wow. I mean, what went into their heads to like, make them think of like this kind of plot?
When you say that, it makes me think of, obviously COVID hadn't happened yet, but it does sound very much like the point of the movie was to show like the spread of an outbreak. Now, obviously, that doesn't explain the first 30 minutes of the film or 40 minutes of the film when he's just fucking everything in sight, but um it does seem like that's what the turn of the movie is like, look at how easy it is to spread. Oh, she's getting her hair washed at the hairdresser and then she vomits on the guy. It's like, oh, now the spread is going everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the turn of the movie. Maybe a little bit more of the mature angle of the movie, almost like you have a serious thriller movie going on, and you also have this American Pie character living in that world.
Yeah, this was like for whatever reason, it was like one of the most popular films that were watched on Apple, and and for whatever reason, it's like people were just hungry of content, and I think this film just kind of came up into like top of the charts. That's when I got to watch this film.
It is a different type of fun. I will agree with you there. I will
Not,
agree with that.
not your kind of fun, but
Right.
but,
That's precisely right.
it was an introduction for these kind of movies to you,
Indeed, it was. I feel
and
like I have Ebola now.